that I see you?
It's easy. You know, you're going to walk your dog anyway. You're going to say hello to your neighbors anyway. You're going to be walking through on a daily basis, so it's just important to contribute back to your community.
you're kind of muddy. I can hear you, but it's kind of broken up.
Okay, got you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on the eve of Mobility Week as we unveil our first zero-emission, all-electric bus to go into Lynx operations. Mobility Week is a statewide celebration of promoting safer, more efficient transportation choices and an ideal time to think about how we can improve multimodal options to reduce traffic congestion and benefit the environment and improve public health. Good afternoon and welcome to the September 27th, 2021 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today with the invocation and pledge led by Commissioner Bakari Burns.
All right. Good afternoon. Will you all bow your heads? Father in heaven, we commit this meeting to you. I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting. Lord, strengthen us as we make tough decisions. I pray that we will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose water never fails. I pray that we will be fruitful. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission of serving the residents of our great city. Father, please guide us so that this meeting can be productive. Let us be effective and decisive. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray? Here. Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Burns?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum with all members present.
Okay, first order of business is the consideration of minutes from the agenda review, City Council, and first budget hearing, September the 13th. Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Let's move right to the mayor's update. Commissioner Ortiz, I wanted to start my update by recognizing you for your leadership and your efforts during the 2021 role as president of the Florida League of Cities. Commissioner Ortiz provided guidance and wisdom during a very difficult time. And I would like to read a resolution that the, Commissioner, let's go down there so we can do a picture.
Go, man. Go, man.
So this is a resolution of the Florida League of Cities, Inc., expressing appreciation to the City of Orlando for its support of Antonio L. Ortiz as President of the Florida League of Cities. Whereas Antonio Tony Ortiz, Commissioner of the City of Orlando, served as President of the Florida League of Cities from 2020 to 2021, and whereas the citizens, mayor, commissioners, and staff of the City of Orlando were understanding of the demands placed upon Commissioner Ortiz in his role as President of the League, and whereas during his presidency, Commissioner Ortiz focused on the importance of building stronger cities, and whereas during his presidency, Commissioner Ortiz provided leadership, guidance, vision, and compassion for Florida's 411 municipalities and their staffs, residents, businesses during an unprecedented time in our nation's history, and whereas the membership and staff of the League recognize the commitment of the City of Orlando to Commissioner Ortiz's presidency, ensured his active participation in League activities and unselfish service to the League, and whereas the membership and staff of the League also wish to recognize and personally thank Megan A. Shaver and all the dedicated City of Orlando staff for their efforts in providing outstanding assistance to President Ortiz and the FLC staff. Now therefore be it resolved by the Florida League of Cities that the Florida League of Cities membership and staff do officially and personally appreciate the commitment of the City of Orlando citizens, commissioners, and staff made to Commissioner Ortiz's presidency.
Thank you, boss. Appreciate it.
Commissioner, I think you're the second member of this council to have served as president. I know Mayor Hood served as president of the Florida League of Cities, and I'm not aware that anybody else has.
Yes, sir, and it would have been you had you not yield your position to me. So let's make sure that we state that too, so thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, sadly last week, two of our OPD officers were targeted or several of our officers were targeted in two different unprovoked attacks, and they have no place in our city or anywhere else. Every day our officers risk their lives to keep our community safe, and I want to remind our OPD officers that our city council appreciates them, our community appreciates them, and we are grateful for their commitment and their dedication to protecting us all. And one of those incidents occurred in our downtown area, and we continue to look at additional proactive safety measures that we can take to ensure a safe and inviting downtown for all of our residents. I also want to mention that COVID is still with us. Every shot in the arm counts, and we continue to maintain our vaccine site at Camping World Stadium 7 days a week. Commissioner Hill and I visited the site last week and recognized it takes about 20 minutes without a reservation to go through the drive-through start and site. And starting tomorrow, we'll also be offering Pfizer booster shots to those that are 65 and older and anyone who is immunocompromised. And then one item I want to particularly call out on the agenda is the Art Squared project. We continue to recognize the need for additional open spaces and diverse arts and entertainment options, and there are several items on this agenda that promote that goal, but one is the Art Squared project, which will be at Orange and Robinson. It'll be activated open space and amenities with a 2-story container structure with a cafe, an art gallery, a stage, seating, and green space. And if we get approval today, we will have a groundbreaking on October the 18th at 12:30. With that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which are a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of our commissioners an opportunity to comment on the consent agenda and update you on important happenings in their district. We rotate the order that we do that. Commissioner Burns is up first today.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I was happy to join you, Mayor, and our colleagues to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month by attending the opening of the Hispanic Heritage Month art exhibition in the Terrace Gallery. I'm appreciative that our city continues to not only embrace diversity, but also invest in it as well. In continuation of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, my office recognized Ecos Foods as the District 6 Business of the Month. Ecos is a food delivery service aimed at making authentic food healthy and fun for their clients. Thanks also to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Sherry from the EDV for joining us as we celebrate and recognize them as our business of the month. I was also proud to join the Florida Puerto Rican Parade downtown this year. This was my first one. My staff and I had a great time, so we will definitely be back next year. This month, I also continued our conversations with our firefighters as me and my staff had dinner with the brave men and women of Station 10 to thank them for their hard work and sacrifice. Thanks to Interim Chief Buckley, and he's in the audience. Thank you for joining us and educating me on everything that our firefighters do day in and day out. Also, I'd like to just give a shout out to our Carver Shores Homeowners Association for the hard work they put in this past Saturday in cleaning up their community. My aide Jason and I joined them to pick up trash and to talk to neighbors this past Saturday morning. I would like to thank Ms. Vincent, Joel Ham, Shirley Heath, and the rest of the Carver Shores team for their engagement and the love that they have for their community. Also on this past Tuesday, September 21st, my office hosted a COVID community vigil at Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, where we took a moment to pause and reflect upon the more than 50,000 Floridians who lost their lives to COVID-19. We gathered community and faith leaders for prayer and to offer words of comfort and encouragement from our city as we continue to deal with this virus. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Hill for being in attendance and addressing the attendees during that event. And last, I'd just like to thank you, Mayor, and my fellow commissioners for your leadership and guidance that you all offered to our city during this past year. Regarding the pandemic. I also want to thank our staff for your commitment and hard work over this last year. We're all in this together, and I again want to encourage everyone to, if you're able to get vaccinated, continue to wear your masks, and take as many safety precautions as needed to keep yourself, our community, and your family healthy. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Gray?
Thank you, Mayor. The agenda is rather brief, so I'll take this opportunity to share a couple of things going on in the neighborhood. But first, let's go back to last Friday, the 17th. I was thrilled to be part of the POW MIA reception ceremony. I think it's one of the best things we do, where we remind folks who are still missing in action. And so thank you, Mayor, and your Veterans Council for putting that on. It's a great event. And next year, if you've got some time, I would encourage everybody to go. It's a very meaningful and moving ceremony. Also had the opportunity that evening to attend the Puerto Rican Parade reception. Compliments of Commissioner Ortiz and his staff. They did a great job, and it was good to feel the energy and get people back out at parades again. So, Commissioner, well done on that. On Tuesday, the 21st, attended with the mayor a new restaurant opening, Hot Tacos, out in Lake Nona. You should try it. We tasted some octopus tacos. If you haven't had those, there's your treat. So please come out that way. We got a lot of neat restaurants in the District 1 area, and encourage you to come out and try those. Upcoming, I want to make sure everybody's aware, a week from this Saturday, October 9th, yes, October is coming, the end of this week, but October 9th, we've got the District 1 Fall Festival. out in Vista Lakes at one of their parks. We thank them for giving us access to that park, but it'll be quite a big event. We've got 50 different vendors from the area businesses that'll be there. The mayor is going to try his best to get out there, said he can make it. I'm sure he'll find room in his schedule, and all the commissioners are certainly welcome. But it'll be a big event, animal petting zoo, face painting, bounce houses, but opportunity to get the community back together. So pray for good weather on Saturday the 9th. That starts at 11 and goes to 2:30. And finally, I just want to say, Mayor, thank you for mentioning the issue this weekend. Look, there's a lot of difficult pieces to this, but we're trying desperately to find that balance between respect for residents, but also respect for law enforcement. And Mayor, thanks for acknowledging it. We're working on it, but look, being a police officer is a tough job, especially in today's environment. So I know this council and this mayor is committed to dealing with those issues. They're not easy, but we will get there. So Mayor, thank you for acknowledging that. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray, and I can vouch for those octopus tacos. Very good. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I got a question for Commissioner Burns. Did you dance salsa, Commissioner?
I've been trying for a couple of years, but I'm always open for a lesson.
So Wednesday, September 15th, we kicked off the Hispanic Heritage Month with the Hispanic Heritage Month art exhibition, as mentioned by the Mayor and Commissioner Burns. This year's theme is Esperanza, celebration of Hispanic heritage and hope. 19 Hispanic and Latino artists submitted artwork to be featured during this month's celebration that depicts the passion and pride of our culture. I want to give a big shout out to our multicultural affairs team for facilitating a great event. They did a great job. So, on Friday, September 17th, I attended the 2021 POW MIA Recognition Ceremony, as stated by Commissioner Gray. Beautiful event honoring members of the U.S. military who were held captive and those who never made it home. Thank you to the Veterans Advisory Council and Mayor Dyer for upholding this tradition and continuing to memorialize those who fought selflessly for the United States. Also, on Friday, September 17, as also mentioned by Commissioner Gray, my office hosted the Puerto Rican Parade reception. We hosted Puerto Rican elected officials, parade honorees, federal, local, and municipal elected officials and their staff, as well as 2 Olympians in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics in preparation for the Puerto Rican Parade. I want to thank my team, my office, Megan Shaver, Officer Sanchez, Alex Temes and her team at Englewood, City Clerk's office, and additional staff that helped make our event a success. Thank you, Mayor Dyer, Chief Rolón, Commissioner Gray, and Jason Henry from Commissioner Burns' office for joining us to celebrate on that particular day. I want to invite you to join us this Wednesday, September 29th at 11:30 a.m. for the Hispanic Heritage Month virtual panel, Knowing and Getting Involved with Your Local Government. I have teamed up with the Office of Multicultural Affairs to compose a panel of elected officials who will be conducting an open discussion with residents to talk about ways to enhance government and community relations through civic empowerment and engagement. Florida Senator Victor Torres from District 15, Florida Representative Anas Kamani from District 47, District 4 Orange County Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero, and myself will be present and hosted by WFTV Nancy Alvarez. So check it out. And last, a little comment about what just happened this past weekend to add to what my fellow mayor and commissioners have mentioned. An attack on any member of our Orlando family by anyone is an attack to our Orlando family as a whole, period. During times of crisis when law enforcement have been under scrutiny for misdeed and abuses created by some bad apples, we have stepped up to the plate and created better policy. That doesn't mean we're as you will see in some movies, we're nice and we're trying to cooperate with everybody and make sure that we feel and the expectations of every member of our community. But that doesn't make us weak. That does not make us weak. And I think law enforcement is there not only to help our community, and they do so, and to be there for everyone. And we do so, and we do so with pride in the city of Orlando. But let's make no mistake, that doesn't make the Orlando Police Department weak. And I hope these people that have those kind of mindset about attacking our fellow members of the Orlando Police Department change their minds and become a little bit more cooperative, because, as I said before, hurting any member of our city family is hurting the city as a whole, and we're not going to stand for that. So thank you so much for that.
Commissioner Stewart.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. And let me also echo your comments, Commissioner Ortiz. I had an opportunity to talk to each of the police officers that were involved on Saturday from the Friday night event, and encourage them to remind them that we cannot tolerate that type of behavior. So I appreciate that. Chief, thank you for the work that y'all are doing, and continue to keep that up. The POW-MIA has been mentioned, and I want to make sure that I get a chance to share just some good news. I was sharing with the mayor that the moment that we were in that particular ceremony was actually the same moment in which my nephew was taking his oath as a new ensign in the United States Navy. Literally at the same time. What a wonderful mixed emotion to be able to remember those who have sacrificed for our family, and for our country, as well as somebody from my family who's getting ready to make and be prepared to make a similar sacrifice. So this means a lot to me from a very special standpoint. His name is now Ensign Stuart Rodriguez. I want to share a couple of things with you. I do want to say first thank you to Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Hill, you are a woman of your word. We had the opportunity to have some fun with the Edgewater High School and the Jones High School teams, and we had a chance to serve them last week. And apparently whatever you did helped out, because we beat Apopka. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. So we had a chance to feed the team, and it was a great way to bring the communities together. Thank you. Along the same lines, this Friday night, the Bishop Moore High School 1971 team will celebrate their 50th anniversary of their state championship win. Like with others, I remind them every time they do this that they only had one loss that entire season, and that loss happened to be to Edgewater High School, which was really kind of nice. But they're going to celebrate the team and bring the team together this Friday night, and they've asked me to come over there and share some time with them, and I'd love to do that. Mike Malatesta is a great guy. He was a quarterback on the team when it went to state and won state. Let me also mention that Commissioner Burns, thank you for the commitment to prayer, especially on COVID and the COVID issues. A group called Vision Orlando, which has been active in our community for almost 35 years, will be doing a call to prayer on October 22nd through the 24th, and we'll be announcing that on the steps of City Hall on October 13th. So we want to gather our faith community together to remember those who have passed on because of COVID, and to call us for healing in this process. So thank you for that. I want to say a special thanks to those city and county staff that are working on the COVID booster rollout shots. Thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that, and thank you for not mentioning that I was eligible. I appreciate that. If you're a member of the College Park community, the College Park Neighborhood Association is having their monthly mixer this Wednesday, September 29th at 6 o'clock over at Tevi Pasta. So please plan on attending there. Thursday the 30th, the College Park, I share this only a few times a year, but the College Park Rotary Club is doing their Taste of College Park. I'm a member of that club and honored to be part of that club since its founding. But we raise money and give it back to the youth through our schools in the College Park community. So please, if you want to attend, please come over. It's Thursday evening. I want to say a special thanks to Keep Orlando Beautiful. Last Saturday, we had the opportunity to bring about 30 people or so together along the shores of Lake Baldwin, and we had a chance to clean up and to trim up and do a lot of work over there. And so I appreciate them coming. Next time, we're going to get in the boats and go from the water in. This time we did it from the shoreline, but I appreciate the work that Jody Bias and her team did. It was great to have them out there and great to have the community show up. It was really a wonderful event, and I appreciate the work that Susan Kaminsky has done over there at the ROA over at Lake Baldwin. Just a touch of cool air's coming in, so we are starting to really pick up some more stuff going over at Lou Gardens. So this Friday night is Close Encounters of a Third Kind, so please come over. And then some of you will see some work that we're going to do the immerse lights again in Lou Gardens come up, and I appreciate that. And then while we're just over a week away from National Night Out, it's not too late to get engaged in your neighborhood. So if your neighborhood has not yet signed up, please sign up. Doesn't take a whole lot, and we'll be glad to help you out. You can contact my office. I will get you over there, and you can email me at robert.stewart@orlando.gov. On the agenda today, let me just share a couple of quick things, and it really is around item J1. We have worked so long and so hard to try to move a redesign and a complete streets for Edgewater Drive. On this contract today, we'll have approve a contract for $1 million to do the design work. We've already done some visioning work. The design work will come, and then will be some additional community meetings for that, and then we'll move next to the bidding process, and then next to the construction. So this happens about 1 year at a time. So this is that next stage, and then we should see construction in about 2 years. So. But this is that stage of design phase, and it's going to go from Lakeview to Par, and it's going to also, the design phase is designing to upgrade ADA all along Edgewater Drive, which I think is going to be an important community asset to what we're doing. So, and that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Let's move on to Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. You all hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to participate virtually. I've been having a lot of health issues with my mom, and I really appreciate the ability to participate this way, and thank my colleagues for that as well. And Commissioner Gray, you had me at Octopus Tacos. I think I'm going to have to take a trip out to Lake Nona. That sounds just amazing. So, sounds great. And I'd just like to say, be kind to someone today, because you really have no idea what they may be going through. And I really want to thank the staff in the clerk's office, especially Rich Holdridge, who helped me through a very, very difficult time as I transitioned my elderly mother to assisted living. That's why I've been participating virtually. And Officer Eddie Rosato, my brother, who was just such a big help to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's really hard for someone like me to ask others for help. And I just want to thank everyone for reaching out, the folks at Advent Health. Everybody's just been great. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping my mom. And also neighborhood folks who reached out, who are concerned about me. You are what makes this community great. So I really, really, really thank you and really appreciate you. I would also like to express my strong support for our law enforcement officers. During a lot of the protests that happened, they were spit on, they were hit. And they actually had a great deal of restraint that they showed during that time, and they were respectful when they were treated disrespectfully. And I don't think that should continue to happen. I think it's awful when people victimize and harm one another. And if you're part of hate, you're part of hate. And we need to respect these officers, because you know what? Those very folks some of the folks that actually complain about the police are the first ones to call them when they need help. So we need to behave respectfully towards one another and not behave in this violent way, and try to create a sense of community, not a sense of violence. It's wrong when it's directed towards anyone. And on the agenda today, I want to shout out to my sister, Commissioner Hale. Art Square is pretty cool. I think that's going to be a wonderful gathering place at Orange and Robinson. Really look forward to see what's going to happen there. I met with staff about that, and it sounds like an absolutely great amenity in our downtown. And with that, that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan and Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. I also want to echo your sentiments along with this council, is that Orlando Police Department has my full support, and I'm constantly praying for their protection. And what we witnessed this last week downtown and over on the west side of Orlando was horrific, and it's uncalled for. we do see the uniform, but it's actual human beings, somebody's son, daughter, husband, loved ones inside those they're human beings and should not be treated in such a manner. And just want them to know that they're in my prayers. I agree with Commissioner Sheehan with the professionalism and restraint that was shown during the George Floyd protest, but most definitely this week, Mayor, because here it is, someone's life was on the line, they're being attacked, trying to be killed, and they apprehended those guys, and no one was killed. That means a lot, that they were able to apprehend a potential killer that was trying to take their lives, and they took them in whole. So I just want to thank them for the restraint that they've showed and the professionalism, Deputy Chief. Congratulations, Commissioner Ortiz, for your leadership there at the Florida League of Cities, and at the national level too, because you have a strong presence and voice there at the National League of Cities. But when it came to home rule and affordable housing, you really advocated hard, and I know a lot of change happened because of your presence, so congratulations. Commissioner Gray, I've always enjoyed going to Lake Nona over at Boxy Park, and so I'm happy to see that we're going to have our own little Boxy Park here in downtown, and I know it's big because of what we saw there. It was easier for us to make a decision to implement it here downtown, so excited to see what's getting ready to happen downtown on that corner of Robinson. But I also want to thank the Dr. Phillips Foundation for gifting us with that piece of property to make sure that we can do something creative in that space. I joined Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Ortiz along with the other commissioners here in the Rotunda on September the 15th to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month and the art exhibit. I would invite you all to come out. Something that stuck with me personally was the stories behind the paintings. They're more than just a piece of art. All of those artists actually had something within them that they put there, and mine is the blue house. I asked the artist about that blue house because it had so many different facets of a lady tearing, smiling, children, birds. And what I found about the blue house, it was a lady in Mexico, and it was her house. And she was a sad person, but she had so many beautiful things outside of that house for the community. And she never could be consoled, but she made others happy. So I might have to invest in that painting there once it's come off the exhibit. Sometimes it reminds me of myself. What goes on. But on Thursday, September the 16th, which was a huge night, I attended along with Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Burns the Onyx Second Annual Men of Honor event, which was held across the street at the Grand Bohemian. Our very own Orange County Mayor, Jerry Dimmons, was recognized for his contributions to our community. It was a proud night to see so many African-American men throughout our community that have accomplished so much and giving so much to this community at whole. So I want to say congratulations again to each of the honorees. On September the 17th, as Commissioner Gray stated, I joined him along with the other commissioners at Dr. Phillips Dr. Phillips Center to honor the 2021 POW MIA Recognition Ceremony, where we acknowledge the greatest sacrifice that anyone can give, and that is the giving of their lives to their country. It was also amazing to hear the story of United States Air Force Major Edward Abotsky. He was a POW for over 100 years in China, and he would use his underwear and different garments that they gave him so that he continued to be inspired that he one day was going home. And he sewed with the thread. He took thread by thread out of this fabric and he sewed the American flag. His plane was shot down in North Korea, but they, I guess, sent him to China. So I still want to acknowledge him, but while it was amazing, as was stated, we still have to recognize those that did not go back home to their families and gave the greatest sacrifice. As Mayor Dyer stated, I was able on September the 21st, join him there at Camping World Stadium to thank each and every one of those workers on the front line still in our community that are vaccinating our residents to, help us get through this pandemic. As was stated, COVID is still among us. It's not over, so I strongly encourage everyone to get vaccinated and now to go back and get their booster shot for those that qualify. And when we do, to go and get that. And I'm looking forward to our 12-year-old to 5-year-old getting their injection. So parents, please, I'm begging you to get your children vaccinated because our schools and classrooms are still being shut down and interfering with, I would say, our children's future when it comes to education. That night, thank you, Commissioner Burns, for your leadership with bringing the community together to pray for our community and the 50,000 deaths that have been counted here in Florida. I say it again, our morgues here in Central Florida are full. We're having to purchase rolling storage morgues here in the city. The funeral homes are full. The ICU beds are full. People can't even get an ICU bed. If they get a heart attack, they have to die because the people are there in the ventilators. So, it's a sad state. The only thing we have to do is be vaccinated. I'm glad to say that it's a struggle. I have a son that finally got his vaccination, and I'm sad to say that I have a son that refused to get vaccinated, Mayor, because of the fears and the untruths and myths. So I understand. The fears, but what I do know is COVID kills, and the vaccination help us get through it. On Saturday, September the 25th, the Paramore Assets and Stabilization Fund here that we were able to assist renovate over 88 units in the Paramore area has done more outreach, and now they're helping minority businesses here in the Paramore area with growing their business and giving them information so that they can be a stronger business. And with that, Mayor, that's all I have, and I will move the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Ortiz. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And so the motion carries.
Mayor, would you allow me a point of personal privilege?
Sure, Commissioner.
I forgot one thing, and I want to make sure I do this in front of everybody here. Congratulations to Officer Steve Smith, now Sergeant Steve Smith, who has done a wonderful job working with the citizens of District 3, and we're going to lose him to greater leadership inside OPD. But I'm so proud of you, Steve, and I want to say that to you personally in front of the group and on behalf of the citizens of District 3 and the work that you've done. So congratulations.
Okay, without objection, we will recess the City Council meeting and convene the CRA meeting. The first order of business is minutes from September the 1st. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, take it from there, Thomas.
All right, thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Item number 2 is an Amendment 2 to the Open Space Agreement. Of course, this is a companion item to item C10 on the consent agenda that you just approved, so I won't go through all the particulars other than to point out, as you know, that it extends this agreement to 2 projects that the Mayor, one of which the Mayor mentioned in his opening comments. If you don't mind, Mayor, I'd like to show a few images associated with both of those projects just to kind of update this board, if you will, on where we are. regarding that. First, Luminary Green, for which this amendment allocates up to an additional $3.5 million for architectural features and amenities. And as a disclaimer, I just want to say to everybody, by no means is everything depicted on each of these renderings expected to be 100% accurate as to exactly what you will see when the park is open next spring. But these are the actual documents that the design team and construction management teams are working with as they evolve, and should for the most part be representative of what you can expect. This is as if we're suspended, Mayor, sort of right above the entrance to EA and looking southwest. You see the Julian in the foreground there, and the Union West in the background, and of course you see the trellis, which is probably the most prominent feature, vertical feature of Luminary Green moving forward. This is a construction site a couple of months ago. It continues to evolve, of course, toward its opening of the park scheduled for next spring. This is a fairly early concept drawing that shows, you see Amelia to the left, so north is to the left and south is to the right on this. You see Chatham Avenue and, of course, Terry along the bottom of the screen. Again, you see the trellis to the left, the major feature. Things are all sort of working toward that trellis, building up some concrete steps there in the yard, and many trees and whatnot, a lot of trees, and a very nice paseo along Terry Avenue. Next shots are at night as we're working on many of the architectural features, particularly lighting for the park. Again, you see the paseo, which is well lit, obviously at the bottom of the screen along Terry for a very nice pedestrian experience. And the trellis, of course, is to the left. And then those, the 20 white dots that you see like this, those are depicting 20 of the luminary markers to be depicted in the park. From which it gets its name, Luminary Green. Of course, that's another story, and more details will come out from that. District Commissioner and staff and members of the community are working on that component of the project as we speak. But ultimately, the construction budget for this project includes 6 of those luminary markers being ready on day 1 when the park is open to the public, and another 20 of those of infrastructure setups for future luminary. Again, this is our pedestrian views at night. The top one is at the southern end of the park looking north. So this is the top will be sort of from the Livingston side looking toward Amelia, and the bottom one is vice versa. This is on the north end of the park, so on the northwest side looking down the Paseo along Terry Avenue. Again, at the top, you see the most prominent single feature of Luminary Green, which is the trellis. And you can see it's very prominently lit. So, and again, other lighting being depicted. And major signage should appear right along Amelia. Right now, various things are being contemplated. You see the placeholder right now is the word Orlando. We've also looked at the fact that it could be something else. Could be Luminary Green, could be Creative Village, could be some other term. So still working on that. The other project that this amendment pertains to is it brings up, or approves, I should say, up to $3 million for the construction of Art Square, the project we've been talking about since 2018 when request for proposals was put out. And again, I wanted to update you on some concepts and for that part. You can see here, of course, we're at Orange Avenue is to the right, and above the screen is Robinson. Right under the word Robinson Street, there's a curb cut where the trucks and whatnot can get in, and just to the right of that, there's also a pedestrian entrance into the park. But also, there's a main pedestrian entrance right from the Orange Avenue side. You see the park is heavily buffered with landscaping around the perimeter. The green space, a great lawn in the middle of it. This is looking down on the top of the 2 containers. We'll see those better in a moment. But it just shows how well they're over on the western side of the park, and with some area that comes out, hardscape area where there will be could be tables and chairs, and those are movable, of course, so they can be situated in various ways. Down at the right bottom will be the area where there'll be hammocks available, and right at the bottom of the screen, there's going to be one of several digital screens involved in the park. a major one here. This is actually sitting just adjacent to and parallel to the north wall of 250 North Orange, that the old Southern Bank building, that tall white building. It does not touch that building or infringe upon it, but it's parallel to it. And there'll be another major screen, as you can see right here, sort of catacornered above the containers. And that screen will be seen even from outside of the perimeter of the park itself, as pedestrians and or vehicles coming down Orange Avenue will be able to see that screen as well. Another couple of views. This is, of course, looking from Orange Avenue, looking due west, and as you would see coming into the pedestrian gate off of Orange Avenue, and you see the two containers stacked, and to the right side, that shaft is an escalator. I'm sorry, an elevator. The top container could be carted off and used for private events, and the manager sees that as a major source of revenue. Particularly so it allows multiple uses. The private event can be going on while the public is still attending events at the rest of the park. You see an area at the bottom here where there could be tables and chairs, a coffee shop, a cafe sort of setup, but also live entertainment will be featured. And this is the major digital screen that I spoke about earlier that's above one of the containers, and it'll be outfitted amongst other things with live cameras to project what's happening on stage at the time. Another couple of shots of the containers. The top one is very similar to the one we just saw. The bottom one is from sort of catacorner from Orange and Robinson, and that shows how it's juxtaposition versus the building at 250 that you see right back here. And again, the other shots, the top one is the rear of the building of the containers, with stairwells, of course, to go up in addition to the elevators. And Art Square will have a couple of food trucks. You can see those depicted here. And in fact, I'm going to go back. Well, before I do that, these are some earlier concept that shows how seats and tables could be and retail counters could be situated in the lower container. And the lower shot is from a very early concept, but we left it in only because it shows sort of the approximate placement of one of the major digital screens. It's again up against, it looks like it's against, but it's not touching the 250 North Orange building. Let me go back now this way to the overhead. So you see I didn't mention the food trucks here. One of those food trucks is to be in for 6 months at a time. The other food truck is to rotate out on a weekly basis, therefore giving, of course, a variety, at least an opportunity to a variety of vendors to extend their wares and do business in the park. The rest of the park, and as you'll see in the next item, will be completely, the management, operations, and programming, and maintenance of the park will be completely up to Ascend Studios, who was the chosen vendor to operate the park, and at their cost. So again, I just wanted to Mayor, just to show some updated images. Both of those parks are on schedule to be open next spring, and so two very prominent open space green spaces to be added to what we already have in downtown. And I reflect back to 2015 and Project DTO, where of the 10 big ideas, nothing was more talked about and emphasized by the 100 people that stayed, that comprised the task force at the time than the need for more open space and more green spaces in downtown. So this is reflective of that and this amendment, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that you will see fit to approve it yet again. The advisory board has recommended approval of the open space agreement amendment 2, and if there are no questions, staff is requesting that the CRA approve the amendment 2 to the open space agreement, subject to review and approval by the city attorney's office, and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute such agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, number 3.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. Item number 3 is approving Amendment 1 to the contract with Ascend Studios related to that same Art Square project. Again, back in 2018, we issued a request for proposals. Art Ascend Studios was chosen as the #1 submittal, and we entered into an agreement with them back in 2020 to manage the park, and also with GAI to design the park. This amendment to that agreement speaks to Ascend's role during the construction and then the operations and management of the park. During construction, Ascend will be responsible for procuring, designing, and installing approximately $429,000 of AV equipment associated with Art Square. And once the project is open to the public, Ascend is solely responsible for maintaining, managing, and programming the park, and all the costs associated with those are to be borne by Ascend. The CRA will be assisting with marketing, as we do with other amenities within the downtown area. We will market this project, but the operational costs will be on Ascend. Again, the advisory board, this agreement, has a 3-year initial term and allows for 3 additional 2-year extensions, and the advisory board does recommend approval. And if there are no questions, staff is requesting the CRA approve Amendment 1 to the contract, subject to review and approval by the City Attorney's Office, and authorization for the Chief Procurement Officer to execute such agreement and extensions thereto as described above.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 4.
All right, and item number 4 is the first amended and restated funding agreement with the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida, Inc. Back in 2013, the CRA entered into an agreement with the Coalition for the Homeless, primarily for the operations, programming, and management, if you will, of the Men's Service Center. If you recall, that was actually prior to our direction and emphasis on permanent supportive housing. And so since the city has wisely chosen to go with housing first, or permanent supportive housing, it's brought about various changes that the Coalition for the Homeless have had to implement regarding its operations in general, but with particular focus on the Men's Service Center. This restated amendment for the Men's Service Center would allow an additional $250,000 for the final 2 years. Again, we're coming on now the 9th and 10th year of that 10-year agreement. The agreement was a $3 million original agreement over a 10-year period of time. It started at $500,000 the first year, and it ratcheted down by $50,000 per year. It calls for $150,000 for the 9th year, which is next year, and then $100,000 for the 10th and final year. This restated amendment would add $250,000 in operational funding to each of the final years, next year and the final and 10th year. And would also add a one-time $200,000 for capital improvements that are due based on wear and tear and attrition, and that would help with the aesthetics of the facility, therefore assisting with the perception of safety in the neighborhood. Again, the CRA Advisory Board has recommended approval, and staff is requesting approval today.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Any further business, Thomas?
No further business, Mayor. I would say 2 things. One, we join all of you all in saying that we're astounded at what we saw that happened to our law enforcement officers in downtown. I'm sure that you'll continue to do everything that you can to show support for them. We certainly want to do that. Lastly, I'll be stepping aside for momentarily to take care of some medical business that I need to take care of. Obviously, we have a very experienced and capable staff and group at not only DDB-CRA, but we're supported by economic development as well. And so the beat will go on. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you for your leadership and all that you do. We'll see you when you get back.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Love you, man.
Thank you, Thomas. All right, without objection, we will adjourn the CRA meeting and reconvene the City Council meeting, and we'll be on hearings, ordinances, second reading. Madam Clerk, number 1.
Ordinance number 2021-51, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land generally located south of Virginia Drive, east of Ferris Avenue, and north of Brookhaven Drive, comprised of 0.45 acres of land more or less from industrial to mixed-use corridor medium intensity, changing the property zoning designation from general industrial district with the traditional city and Virginia Drive special plan overlays to medium-intensity mixed-use corridor district with the traditional city and Virginia Drive special plan overlays, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, do we have any cards?
No speakers, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2021-55, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to a street name change renaming Curran Drive, which is described in the plat of Metro West Unit 3 according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 97, page 143 of the Public Records of Orange County, Florida, generally located south of Raleigh Street between South Hiawassee Road and Park Center Drive to Bin Loop Drive, directing amendments to the official maps of the City of Orlando, Florida, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Burns. Any cards, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 3.
Ordinance number 2021-56, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for property generally located south of State Road 528, east of State Road 417, east of Dowden Road, and north of Weewahootie Road, and comprised of approximately 3.43 acres, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Madam Clerk, any cards?
No speakers, Mayor.
No speakers, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Let's move to ordinance's first reading, number 1.
Ordinance number 2021-58, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land generally located east of Hill Avenue, south of East Washington Street, and north of East Central Boulevard, comprised of 0.13 acres of land more or less from Neighborhood Activity Center to residential low intensity, changing the property zoning designation from Neighborhood Activity Center with the traditional city Lake Lasona Historic District and the East Washington Street Special Plan Overlay Districts to 1 to 2 family residential with the traditional city Lake Lasona Historic District and the East Washington Street Special Plan Overlay Districts, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Madam Clerk, any cards?
No speakers.
No speakers. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And number 2.
Ordinance number 2021-63, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan by updating figure CI 14 to be entitled City of Orlando 2021-2026 Capital Improvements Element Capital Improvement Fund Schedule, amending policy 2.2.30 in the capital improvements element, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Burns. Madam Clerk?
No
No
speakers.
speakers. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and so the motion carries. That's the conclusion of the agenda business. Ed, can you get us in position for general appearance?